on the Climbing Gym Growth Podcast. We have Chris Marsaglia.
Welcome to Tomo. Did you get that? Did we
That
get
was,
it?
That was we got that.
Yeah.
Yes. Psyched to finally have you on. All right, so let's start with some context about the Tomo Bouldering Club. Awesome name, by the way.
Thank you.
We'll get into the name in a little bit, but how long you guys been open for? What kind of climbing do you offer? What's the size of facility? All that jazz.
Yeah, so we opened February 1st of this year, so less than a year. Doing the math really fast, we're about 8 months old. The type of climbing, I would say, I like to call it modern setting. A lot of people dub us like the compy gym or the hard gym, and I think they do that with the context that we have like a lot of dynamic moves and stuff, which we do, like, admittedly, but we also have a lot of like very technical climbing, slab climbing and static climbing and stuff like that. I think people's idea of like competition is just like, oh, dynamic moves. There are a lot of dynamic moves in competition, but there's also a lot of static moves too. And yeah, we're about 12,000 square feet. That's like the footprint of the building. I want to say the square footage of walls is closer to 5K, I think, 5.5K.
Right, and it's bouldering only, right?
It's bouldering only, yeah.
Cool. And you have any other amenities? You have any training boards?
Yeah, we
fitness
have
areas.
Certainly, we have our like standard fitness area. We don't have any machines just because it is a smaller space, but we have everything to get all of your movements in. We have a 12 by 16 kilter board, a moon board that currently has the 2024 hold set on it, a spray wall and assistance board, and a campus board as well.
Okay, cool. So give us a little context for the gym. So what's the backstory? How many owners are there? How'd you guys all meet? How'd you decide to open a climbing gym? And how'd you come up with that sweet name?
Yeah, so myself, David Sumana, and Joel Velasco, we kind of started talking about this probably... Joel and I had started talking about this probably 2020, maybe 2021, but we wanted a place where experienced climbers could get challenged really well. We wanted a place where new climbers could experience things in kind of a different way. And we wanted a place for community. Eventually we reached out to a family whose kid we used to coach back at the circuit here in Portland, and they were very interested, so they got on board. So there's 4 owners: Joel, David, myself, and this family. I feel like whenever you start working at a gym, maybe like 2 weeks after you start working there, you have this like idea or like this spark that's like, you know what, I could do this. I'm gonna open my own rock climbing gym.
Yeah.
And so
we've all been there.
Yeah, we've all felt it. And sometimes like Joel, David, myself, a few other people would like go to someone's house around the kitchen table and be like, hey, let's do this. And we start doing the planning. It's like the fun part where you're just like building, you're dreaming, and you're just like, oh, we could do this, we could do that, we could do this. And then when Joel reached out to me in 2021, he was like, hey, I've been talking to a couple of people. This is starting to like take form. So like those ideas are starting to become like physical. And then like kind of the evolution of the name Tomo. Originally we were Block Park, and that came from us trying to decide a name, not agreeing on our top number 1 choices, and so all of us going to our 3rd choice, and we were like, we'll be fine with this, that's okay.
Sounds pretty Euro.
It sounds pretty Euro. There's so many blocks out there, and I think it was David who came up and was like, this name just isn't really like feeling like us anymore. So he kept like trying to figure out new names. And then Joel, I believe, was the one who came up with Tomo, which is short for Tomodachi. In Japanese, that means friends. And that really spoke to us because of our like relationship to one another, the relationships that we built through climbing, and what we wanted to do. So it's Tomo means friend, and having a really strong community base or like hub here in the gym is very important to us. So it spoke on multiple levels. And, every time I tell someone that story, they're like, whoa, that's really cute. And I'm like, yeah, it is cute. We're a cute gym. Thank you very much. I love it.
You're a Lord of the Rings fan. Do people have to speak friend to enter?
Members do not, oddly enough.
So looking back on the opening process, what were the biggest surprises for you and the team?
Like certainly the build process took longer, the loan process took longer than we expected. Like all these things just like kind of compiled and definitely working with the city of Portland. It was a two-edged sword. It was kind of like, there are parts where it was like very easy and the city was very accommodating. And then other parts it was just like dead stop, wait. So because of that, like waiting for permits and stuff through our building process, we were about 3 to 4 months late in our initial like opening day. But eventually we did get those permits passed and the doors opened. Everything kind of started flying on its own wings a bit.
So did that throw off your opening plans at all?
In our business plan, we had these like projected numbers, right? And so we had to kind of like change those numbers, especially with conversations with like the landlord and the bank. They would ask like, oh, you're 5 months in, why aren't the numbers looking like this? And having to say like, well, we're actually like 2 months in. We had to like push off the opening. So that's probably like the biggest thing. And, we've been seeing a steady increase. So we're starting to get to that place that we wanted to get to. But yeah, it's just been, that was probably like the biggest sort of like pivot and explanation that we would have to like make for folks.
Yeah. And so when you actually opened the doors, did you have as many members as you thought you would at that time?
I feel like our first projected membership numbers were somewhere in like the 300s, I think. And I think we definitely opened with probably a third of that. And we opened, with like a pre-sale. So we had pre-sale memberships coming in and stuff, and we sold a good number of those, but not hitting that like 300 mark that we were kind of shooting for. I think a couple things that kind of played into that was, one, we were still trying to get our name out there before we weren't even a gym. And so we were trying to like figure out ways to do that.
What did you try?
Yeah, we definitely tried like, we posted something that said like, hey, we're coming to Portland. And it's like, that's the big, like the hook. And people are like, ooh, what's that? And then we didn't post for a long time. We were like, oh crap, we should probably post something. And so when we started posting kind of like silly videos, because one, none of us know what we're doing. And we were just like, okay, let's just do what is kind of funny to us. Let's put ourselves into this. Not take it too seriously, but also do take it seriously but not take ourselves seriously. I guess that's what we're trying to say, yeah. Once we started making those posts with us, explaining the gym, what we wanted to do, why we're doing this, we started getting a lot more reception. The other thing too was we were the third gym to open in the Portland metro area at that time. So Beyond the Wall in Hillsborough opened, Skyhook Bouldering in Southeast opened, and Portland Rock Gym in Beaverton opened at all those times. And we also opened at a time like right after like Black Friday sales, and like, generally gyms have big membership sales at that time. So people were kind of locked in to their memberships. And I also think that people were kind of fatigued with all these like gyms opening up. And just being like, oh, there's a new gym, I'll check it out eventually. And so we kind of had a slow start with people coming to check out the gym, and then a slow start for people to actually like get memberships into the gym. So,
wow, that's a ton of gyms.
Yeah.
That's a lot of competition all at the same time. So were you guys doing you were creating content on Instagram? Were you running paid ads as well?
No, we haven't run paid ads. I think maybe we've run 1 or 2 paid ad campaigns. We're going to start pushing that a bit more, just because, from what we read, talking to other business owners, they find that to be very successful. I think like the thing that we also want to do as well is like create like meaningful content where it's like, it's informational, it's funny, it's like, it comes from us in some sort of way, instead of just kind of the Sears commercial that keeps playing over and over in the background. Yeah, just again, to show people like who we are, what we do, and what we want them to accomplish in our gym.
Right. And I think your branding kind of shows that as well. So, for example, like on your website, all the pictures have like fun little drawings on top of them. It's really professional the way that it's laid out, and you can tell that the pictures are professional and the editing is professional, but you can tell that it's also sort of fun at the same time.
100%.
I think that that's cool. I feel like a lot of climbers resonate with that. So I would imagine that marketing would work well.
No, absolutely. And I think like the more that we kind of push ourselves out there, the more people relate to that in some sort of way. There aren't a lot of like professional climbers in Portland. There aren't a lot of professional climbers. It's all a lot of like, these are hobbies. These are like community centers. You know, I go to the gym to like climb with my friend, and I love climbing. I want to get better at climbing. But at the end of the day, it's like, it's to fill a couple other buckets instead of just this single, like climbing is life sort of bucket. And yeah, I would say like also the people who did our branding agency did just a phenomenal job. It's this local firm in Portland called Odd Notion. And just the meetings that we had all together, I think we had like 5 meetings total. You know, having like three owners is like a cool thing, but also like we all had our kind of ideas for what we wanted the gym to look like. And so Odd Notion was patient enough to like listen to all of us just babble about what we wanted the gym to look like, and they were able to distill it into this thing that kind of hit and resonated with all 3 of us.
It feels really cohesive. I really love the branding. I like the colors. I love the playfulness, like I said, and I think that it kind of goes with the circuit system that you're using. That's like a little different than what you'd normally see in a climbing gym. So I feel like it does stand out and is unique in that way.
100%. Yeah, I think it really emphasizes this idea of playfulness. We wanted people to just play with the boulders and like to have fun, push the ego aside and try something new. I think like one thing that holds a lot of people back is just the ego and just like, I don't want to look foolish doing this thing, but that's like the best way to learn how to do something. Like you're not good at it, so you're going to be foolish, but just allowing yourself to be the fool and to learn from that experience, I think is monumental in anyone's sort of like journey, whether it's climbing or not.
So fast forward to today, how many members do you guys have now? And are you getting kind of closer to where you want to be? And sort of what do you think has led to that?
I believe we're pushing close to 300 or so. So we're getting there. There has been like, we've been seeing percentages of growth every month, which has been great. The thing that brings people in the most, I think, is just how unique the experience of our climbs are.
So would you say it's kind of like a sort of like word of mouth? Mostly people like come in and they're like, hey, I'm going to tell my friends to swing by here because it's so different than the other gyms in the area kind of thing?
Exactly. Yeah. And, you know, I think another thing too is like that branding that we were talking about. It's like people think it's cool, and that's great. But we've had so many people just come in just being like, hey, I saw your shirt in the window. What is this place? And we're like, oh, okay, well, check it out. And just seeing like people wear our shirt like around at other gyms. I think also, again, like you said, it's just word of mouth, just trying to get the symbol, the name, the ideas out there, and that attracts people into the gym.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard about your gym. I'm on the East Coast, and I have people that I work with here in Boston that have been to your gym, and they don't know that I know you. And they're like, hey, have you heard about this gym? It's crazy. Like, people were out there for nationals, and they were talking about how awesome Tomo was. They weren't even talking about Portland Rock Gym, the new giant facility that they opened that they hosted nationals in. They were talking about your gym, which I thought was wild. So it sounds like, you know, you guys are branding really well, so people like want to rep the gear. You have a cool like Japanese logo, so people are like, what is that? And then your setting is also becoming kind of known across the US. So I feel like the combination of things, even though maybe for you, the members aren't coming as fast as you had wanted, but I feel like the momentum feels like it's building.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like it's this rising action to hopefully like a critical mass that eventually we'll get to. Like I say I'm kind of the optimist, but with numbers slowly going up, I feel like eventually something's going to pop and the floodwaters are going to come in. And
Yeah.
yesterday we had a Vertical World youth team come down just to do a mock comp on our boulders. And I also had like a couple come in from Kentucky, and they're like, yeah, this is our first time to Portland. We wanted to check out Powell's, the Japanese Garden, and Tomo. And I was like, what? You're putting us in like the same sentence with these like very like Portland things.
Yeah, quintessential Portland. Yeah,
Yeah,
and like Voodoo Donuts.
Yeah, I was like, wow, okay, that does mean like the world to me. That like fills my bucket in this whole like
Yeah.
process.
So you guys see it like an increase month over month of first-time visitors, like people just like coming in the facility. What does that kind of flow look like for the past few months? Do you have a lot of day pass users that like don't necessarily buy memberships? Like, what does that kind of look like?
Yeah, day pass users are definitely like a pretty big chunk of our revenue currently. Generally, like how it kind of goes is, a person buys a day pass, they come in, they'll usually buy like a couple day passes before they start to see like, oh, okay, I'm gonna like, I can put this into my daily lifestyle. I can like come here fairly regularly. The Pearl is a wonderful part of Portland. Doesn't have great parking. Parking's kind of an issue sometimes.
Right.
So I think that's a big barrier for people to like commit into this area. Once you start figuring out, oh, I can ride my bike here, I can do all these different things, it becomes simpler and more reasonable for people to like come to the gym. The other thing too that we see turn into memberships as well as we offer a 2-week trial membership. So you get all the accoutrements of like having a membership minus the guest passes that one would get. We do offer that can like flow into a full-blown membership if people would
That's
like.
great. So they get a little trial period. Do you get a lot of people signing on to that 2-week trial? What do you feel like the take rate is on that?
I think it's 50-50. I feel like people see it and they're like, oh, that's a very good deal. But the conversion rate is not as fast as, say, like a day pass user turning into a member.
What do you mean by that? So you feel like you have
like,
less people converting to membership after the 2-week trial?
I think that people like to try it and then there's no follow-up. So what we've been trying to do is trying to like just remind them like, hey, this is also the deal that you get with, going from 2-week trial membership to a full-blown membership.
Gotcha.
And that's just on us to like just keep engaging with the community. Once we find like, just like our social media, once we keep engaging with that community, it reminds them that we're still here and hopefully it reminds them that they're positive experience within the gym.
So you guys have a lot of competitors, it sounds like. So you have the 3 new gyms in the greater Portland area, and then you have all the other local Portland gyms. You are pretty close to them, so sometimes you are kind of competing for the same people. What does that look like as far as people joining your gym versus, Movement or some other gym that's closer by? What's that look like from a convincing standpoint?
So for the listeners at home, we are literally a block away from Movement PDX. And that's been, it's been funny to me because people are like, oh, I'm here for the intro to ropes class. And we're like, oh, that's one block down.
No.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
That's horrible.
But someone came in through the door. And they were greeted by a very, very, very positive person. I think when people are asked like, oh, why so close to Movement? Why in Portland? Each gym offers just a different flavor. I think like with us and them, it's apples and oranges. Like we're both fruit, but we give you different things. And, the people that go to these other gyms, those gyms have what they want. For Movement, it's like you want the full just like gym experience of fitness classes, showers, saunas. For us, it's more of a kind of like, oh, we want you to stay. Like we want you to like come hang out and you can climb. We can do what we call our events, which is just like our community events. We have, I think, 2 to 3 community events like every week. Like it's pretty robust, our event programming that we have. And honestly, I think it is just having those community events like changes a person's experience coming into the gym compared to going to a lot of other gyms. We had a person get a membership here. She climbs a little bit, but she said, "Oh, I saw you were doing a craft night and I'm in. Like, you sold me right there." And so
That's awesome.
I think what we do really well is we have a space. We've cultivated this kind of building as a place where you have enough room to climb and you also have enough room to be who you are outside of the gym. And that's where like the community grows and meshes and keeps expanding and expanding. Yeah, I will say that like our space is very well designed. It never feels like you're being closed in on. It's always very open. Even while you're climbing, it's like beautiful like sight lines. The boulders are like spaced out away from each other. You can talk to your friends and not worry about someone falling on you or anything like that, which is from a safety standpoint, great. And then also just having our second floor, which is a huge community space, just allows people to come up and just hang out and chit chat and talk. So
yeah, I've been to your gym. It is beautiful. The layout's like super open, like you're talking about. Everything seems like it's designed really well. It's very clean. And that upstairs mezzanine community space is huge. When I went in there, I was like, wow, you guys are not kidding about community. Like, this is a lot of space dedicated just for people to hang out. And I think that's amazing. Like, it sounds like it supports exactly what you're trying to do. And that makes a ton of sense to me, thinking about like movement in these larger companies that are, essentially big corporate, big box gyms that are, maybe not as in touch with their community or care as much about the community as a small local gym like yourself. So you're sort of approaching it from that angle and really capitalizing on that and be like, hey, cool, you can go to movement and you can just kind of do your fitness thing, or you can come here and be part of something special and unique.
Yeah, and I think, that's the benefit of it's a smaller gym. We're a newer gym, so we're able to really like plant the seeds that we want to see in the future. And that's what we've been really trying to do, especially with our like community aspects. And I think we've seen those things start to bloom where it's, a huge shout out to one of our team members, Elizabeth, who just started like pushing our community drive, making these events and just being on each one and just making sure that they were reoccurring, people could show up. And now she can step back because the community has started to like...
Nice, they're taking over.
Yeah, it has taken over. So much so that we've had community members be like, hey, can I start a run club? We're like, hell yeah, let's do that. Again, just like, we've kind of like built this ship where any community member can like kind of jump up and be like, hey, I have an idea. Can we do this? And we're like, yeah, take the wheel. Like, let's go. Which I think is also a fairly unique thing. I think, especially in Portland, I think a lot of the gyms do a really good job with serving the community that they have. And people have obviously like bought into those communities. Mm-hmm. And I think we just kind of do things a little differently where it's like, we can think all day about like what we want to give people, but we can stop, listen to those people about what they actually want and then do that. So
yeah, that's great. And let's talk about your circuits a little bit. They're different than what I've seen before. You have like your own, I think it's your own circuit system. Is that right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the T circuit grading system right there.
Okay, let's talk about it. What is that?
Yeah, so the T stands for Tomo, obviously. Okay. Purely just for the cuteness level.
Love it.
But there's T1 to T6. T1 I usually describe as kind of the introductory sort of like level, or the introduction to the type of movement that you're going to be seeing in the gym. And then T6 is the most challenging. And so between those like grades between T1 and T2, you could put a V grade within those like ranges. If you did, you would see kind of like your T1 goes to like, arbitrarily speaking, because honestly, I do not know. It goes from like V0 to like soft V3 or something like that. Wow. And then a T2 goes from maybe like a hard V1 to a soft V4. And so you're going to see like this kind of expand in grade with also a little bit of overlap. Usually I'll tell people like, yeah, if you climb like the T1s and the T2s and you get down from a T2 and you're like, whoa, this T2 is way easier than that T1. And now you're confused. That's exactly where we want you to be. just because the numbers are so, we want to do a good job of making them objective, but at the end of the day, they're not. From climber to climber, from setter to setter, the grades are subjective.
Yeah.
And they're just one way to denote progress. And so
Yes.
what we want to do is like move away from those V grades to have people kind of engage with the routes in a different way, really focusing on the movements instead of just number chasing, and just allowing people to like, again, to play with the routes around them to hopefully like learn something. I usually say like, oh yeah, if you're feeling like bold and daring and you're warmed up, like don't even look at the grade, just look at the problem. If it looks fun, give it a shot. Like if you want to do that move, try that move. And I think one other thing too is like, even on our like lower circuits, we do introduce more complex movements. We never set ladders. It's never like left, right, back down. Just because it feels good to get to the top of a ladder, that's great, but it doesn't teach you anything for the next thing or the thing after that. And now like, let's say I'm climbing a V7 that has a run across or a dyno, and I've never done a dyno until that moment. Like I have to learn this like very quickly. And in somewhat of a difficult sort of fashion, I need to think about all these other things too. So what we try to do is set engaging, accessible things at this lower end. So those people who are just starting off don't feel like their head's below water when they're trying something, more difficult. We want them to like be prepared on their journey a little bit.
Sure.
So yeah, that's what I'm really happy about is like each one of our routes, even from like the introductory level to like the most challenging level, like you're going to take something away for yourself for the next thing.
Yeah, the climbing market in Portland has been around for a while, with Portland Rock Gym, I think, being one of the first gyms in the U.S. So it's a pretty mature market, and they're obviously pretty rooted in V grades at this point. What do you see the sort of reaction to circuits when people come in with a background in V grades?
Yeah, I think it kind of comes with that explanation where it's like, V grades are just one way to show your progress. And if you really want V grades, that's why we have the training boards. More people climb on those problems, more people like give their 2 cents about those problems. So honestly, I would say that those grades are a little bit more pointed in like what grade they're trying to denote. But just try it, engage with it. And if you don't think the climb is fun, then that's one thing. But if you don't like the climb because it doesn't have V grade, that's another thing.
I'm in the Boston area, and everyone around here is most of the gyms are very V grade centric. And it's hard for a lot of these people to buy into circuits because they want to track their progress more accurately. You did say that you have the boards to do that. So if they want to be like, hey, how am I doing? They can go over to the Kilter board and kind of see how they progressed. Do you find that there's some pushback from people that are sort of like from the V grade culture?
I would probably say if there is, I haven't experienced it.
Oh, wow.
Not to say that there isn't.
Yeah.
But usually when people come in and they buy into it, or it's like I tell them this like spiel, and they're like, yeah, okay. You can kind of see like the gears kind of turning a little bit. They're like, oh.
Yeah.
And more often than not, when people kind of leave and I ask, hey, how was your session? They go, this was great. This was one of the most fun gyms I've ever like been on, which, it's not them telling me like, oh, I finally got that V6. It's like, oh, I tried this like green thing over here. It was awesome. And they're kind of pushing away from this like grade and going towards like what the climb actually is.
Yeah.
And
I love the idea.
Yeah. And I think that's like a huge just marker of like, oh, okay, people are like receptive to these new ways of measuring progress. So what I would say is we've gotten rid of like one number system and given people like a new number system. So there is some sort of way to like mark progress if you wanted to. But I think what people walk away with when they finish a session, they go, hey, I did my best. I really did a good job. And that's like a huge marker for success that I think brings people back.
Totally.
That kind of like putting in the work, they get the success and it just feels that much greater.
And I think that West Coasters might be a little more open-minded than people from the
Oh,
East
sure.
Coast. That could be another factor here.
Hey,
I'm just
I don't want to. It's not a West Coast East Coast thing. You know, if that's what you feel, that's what you feel. Hey, don't worry about it, man.
You're not going to engage. Okay.
Hey, no, it's okay, dude. Hey, that's
Yeah,
one
that's because you're
experience,
so
man.
chill. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. You're
yeah.
West Coasting me right now.
Hey, I don't know, man. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. No, but I mean,
Oh,
that's, I will say that I think Portland loves its traditions and it loves its nostalgia. And so there have been a couple instances where gyms in Portland tried to do a circuit grading system and it just doesn't take. And I think what happens is like they tried to put like Seattle Boulder Project, you know, that was the first time I ever experienced circuit grading and I thought they did a really good job at it. And it gives you like the 3 number just distance, whatever that
Right.
color is and stuff like that. And I think when you give people that range and it doesn't meet their expectations, that's when you get that pushback, right? If we just say like, oh, this is a T1, this is a T2, there's nothing to really push back against.
Right,
You're just like,
right,
oh,
right.
it's this, and that's it.
Cool. Love that. So you have all these cool community events going on. It seems like you really care about the people coming in the facility. I would imagine that would lead to pretty good retention. What does your churn rate look like on a monthly basis? Are you guys seeing pretty high retention from month to month?
Oh, absolutely. We've been seeing not only memberships like grow up regularly, but also the amount of people coming into the gym also increases as well. The first like couple weeks, maybe a month or two, it was just like 25 people in a day. And I just be like, oh my
Right.
gosh, this is awful. But
Yeah.
now we're seeing like not only members coming into the gym, but also more and more new people coming into the gym. And so, yeah, I would say that the amount of times that people are utilizing the gym with their membership is growing, and that's a good indicator of what we're doing is, you know, people like what we're doing.
Yeah, totally. If you don't mind sharing, I'm always curious about like when people cancel, what are the most common reasons? Usually it's people moving, but do you have any other
No,
fun ones for us?
I always write those emails by hand. I just need to.
wow.
I need to make a template, but I usually start off with like, we're happy to fulfill your request, but we're sad to see you go. I mean, that speaks from like a true place within myself that I want, like, even if you are here just like for those 2-week memberships or a day pass or what have you, it's like you've contributed to Tomo in some sort of way. This is your gym too. But I mean, yeah, most common cancellation is probably just people moving away. People trying out the gym and just being like, yeah, this isn't really for me. And we're like, hey, that's okay too. Thanks for being here. Yeah, but mostly it's the moving away part.
All right. So what's the big dream for the gym? Where do you want to be in 3 to 5 years?
Oh, I want to make like a little Tomo town and have like a coffee shop in the gym, affordable housing in the gym. No, but yeah, the kind of goal is to just have it be a sustaining thing. We've talked about ideas of like opening a second location. What would that look like? Joel, one of the other owners, and myself, we have a strong background in youth competition climbing, so we would love to do like a youth training facility in Portland. That'd be great. Definitely trying to make the sport more accessible, lowering some of those barriers would also be like a dream. I think we started off with grand ideas of like, oh yeah, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this, and then kind of looking at the revenue coming in, we were like, we're not there yet, but we're pushing ourselves to
Like a
try and
sliding
get
scale.
to that point. 100%. Again, just like, you know, economic times are tough now. We'll see how it like reverberates in the next 3 to 5 years. But even with all the things that are going on, the systems in place have like, you know, failed or disenfranchised a lot of people. So again, trying to make the sport just like more welcoming to everyone in some sort of way.
And what do you think will be sort of the biggest challenge to get there? I mean, it sounds like you guys have really kind of planted the roots and you're heading towards building this community that you want. But what do you feel like will be some of the challenges you're going to be facing?
You know, once we get to this point of like revenue and profit that we like want to be seeing, I think it's all just about reinvesting into the gym. So I say this now as a new time business owner. the systems of capitalism could corrupt me and I could become an evildoer. But with how all of us are kind of seeing what we want to accomplish within like the climbing industry, once we're able to like sustain ourselves and also give back, that's always been our goal, is just to try and give back and try to lower these barriers that I was talking about. So again, I
Well,
think the hardest thing is just trying to get to a profitable place to
yeah.
do that sort of thing.
Well, I believe in you guys. I mean, I've heard nothing but good things, and I've been to the gym, and it's beautiful, and I believe that you guys are going to crush it. So, yeah, keep at it. Where can people follow you, learn more about the gym?
You can go to our website, tomobouldering.club.com. You can go to our Instagram at Tomo Bouldering Gym. I believe we have a Facebook page that hopefully gets updated. And then, especially like follow us on the like newsletter. We're trying to revitalize. We're trying to make newsletters cool. So again, just that's a really easy way to just get information. Same with our Instagram. You'll see not only like us trying to do social media, but you'll also see the community members posting, and whether it's cool climbs or the bake sale that we had this past weekend, like that's a good way to see the community like moving and breathing within Tomo.
Well, it's awesome, man. Thanks so much for being on the podcast and sharing your stories and insights. Hopefully we'll have you on again soon.
Yeah, I would love to. Thank you for this experience. This has been great.